We're all looking for this golden purpose. Is it this? Is it that? Is it making money? Is it my family? Motherfucker, the purpose is you.
Anyways, guys, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to 2.5 Mollies. We got a special guest here today, a good friend of ours, right? His name is Yasser. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Welcome, man.
It's good to see you.
Pleasure having you.
Big pleasure.
For those who may not know, we have you for the second time. And if I'm being honest, for those who may not know, I even it was so long ago.
Yeah,
I was like, yo.
I'm not gonna lie, that kind of took me back. I was hoping that you would have remembered, but 4 years is a long year.
It's a long time.
There's a lot of things that
It's a
happen,
long time.
COVID, all those things. So
You know what it is, though? It's because I'm giving props to you. Because there's Yasser, and now there's Nationwide Fitness, man. Nationwide
Fitness with
Waves
Nation.
Fitness.
You know, that's
Nationwide
He doesn't do his
Waves.
homework.
but that's weird, right? That's weird. You at least do your homework. You know what I mean?
Nationwide Waves.
You said
Fitness.
Nationwide Fitness.
Brother,
It's Fitness with Nation,
It's
brother.
fitness.
Okay.
But you
Come
know what
on.
it is? You know, people when they say basic food, me, I always, you see, it's just right there. You know how people say it's food basics, but I say basic food. So maybe it's just me. It's not you. You know what I mean?
Let's get it. You get this? Does this make any sense?
Nah, man. I don't know, man.
I'll give
I do
you
hear-
it. I'll give you
I do hear
it.
people
I
say
just don't
basic
think it
food,
makes
I think
much
as a
sense.
podcaster, you need
Yeah.
to do your homework about this type of stuff.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
at least the name. Get the name right.
100%.
Like, look, I'm
Yasser,
gonna tell you
Yasser.
guys something, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Honesty hour. I was on the way here, terrified, right? Because I like, it's one thing to have done it, like we did the audio version of it, right?
Yeah.
But having done it in front of a camera is a different thing. Right?
Absolutely.
So
I'll give it to you.
I was terrified.
Yeah.
So I'm on the way here, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what?
How am I going to be?
Let me rehearse. let me like have a podcast of my own here. So what I did was I started asking myself questions that I thought you guys would potentially ask me, and answer them on my own.
Yeah.
So I'm basically having a Q&A. I had a Q&A in my car for 20 minutes.
Talk to yourself.
But I was preemptively like ready.
You were
get what I'm
psyching
saying?
yourself up.
I was psyching myself up,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's where we go with like you need to do. I did my homework,
Yeah.
so I think it should go both ways.
I think 100%.
I'm playing.
You know what
I'm
I
playing.
thought you were gonna say?
Right.
I thought you were gonna say, "Yo, on the way here, I played one of your podcasts, and I was trying to join the
'cause
conversation.
you know what?
See how it is."
No.
I thought you were gonna say that.
I could have done that, but then I was like, you know what? That's not organic. That's not like
it's not.
for me to just like read up on a couple. Like it's like I'm not gonna like remember what they were talking about. It's like when you study last. I don't know. Me personally, I don't function off of studying 15 minutes before a test.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whatever's done the night before is what I'm running in with. You know what I mean? So I have to take that as is. Take it as like face value. But yeah, I was just like, I'm not gonna pretend like I don't watch them tuned into every single. I would have loved to, but I like genuinely I don't hop on podcasts or like listen to podcasts.
So it's
Yeah.
exclusive
Like
right
that.
here. We're having exclusive right here.
No, 100%. I mean, like, to me, podcasting and like the whole podcast avenue, I rate it, but it always gives me jitters. Like, it's one thing to listen to them, but it's also another thing to be
be a
on them.
part
you
of
know?
it,
To be
yeah.
a part of it is
100%.
Absolutely, because the thing is, I'll be honest, okay? I don't think we ever really talked about this too, but my experience, like, having the camera in front of me.
Yeah, what is it
Hey.
like for you both? Because you guys are like you guys are on. Like, at this point, I would think like you guys are numb to it. Like you know what you're doing, or is it?
I think it depends. I think there's some weeks where, we're a lot better than other weeks.
Okay.
I feel like, but then there's times when we, like, for example, some of the viewers might remember, we had an episode with Abdurrahman Hussein,
Okay.
right? And, like, just, I don't know about how you, like, maybe you guys have a different opinion on it, but the whole intro was just, like, a little shaky. You know what I mean?
Shaky
Yeah.
what?
I blame that. I blame that.
Shaky
Like I
water,
said,
yeah.
it's like-
Crazy. Blaming
Shaky
before we
water,
even get an
yeah.
explanation is crazy.
So long story short, it was just the intro was just a little hard to get through because even I was sitting like, what the flip? Are we gonna retake this?
Yeah,
Are we gonna retake this? Because
Yeah.
you know what it is? I feel like at some points, like it has to kind of feel like a great transition, like a soothing intro. Even now, like we haven't even gotten to getting to introducing who you are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just to kind of get through, is like it has to be very seamless. And I feel like that episode specifically, as much as I loved it, and it was a great episode. Make sure you guys go check out that one.
It was so great. We couldn't take it out.
Check it out.
Yeah,
We
so
couldn't take out that part.
and it was a part of the process. You know what I mean? At
But-
some point, you just gotta leave
That's
it.
the thing. I think it's like you gotta have those moments, right? You gotta have those moments where it's like, well, you don't know if it's like headed in the right direction per se, or if it's like you are feeling like you're in control, because it's like ultimately you're not. Like a podcast, the whole purpose of it, I think, is like for it to be as raw as possible. You know what I mean? It's just a talk between a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
You just do what you gotta do. You have your conversations, and people are entertained by just the conversation in itself. You know.
Yeah.
So however it goes and navigates, it is what it is. Allah alam, you know.
Yeah.
Like as long as it's kept humble. But I think that's still gonna be a great episode. So people need to go check that out.
Absolutely.
Check
So introducing our guest, this is obviously we've been 5 minutes in. We haven't introduced him. A lot of you guys are wondering, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Who's this handsome guy?
I feel like they know. They don't care.
Wallahi, they do.
They
do.
care, man. Yo, trust me.
They do. Okay. So
I have questions.
I
really want to know about questions. Yo, who's that guy?
So we have
Bismillah.
Introducing it. We have our friend first, right? Like I said, his name is Yasser. He's also could we say a fitness influencer?
I prefer not.
What do you identify as?
What are your pronouns?
No, listen. That we're not gonna go down that avenue. I'm not getting pulled into that. No.
Yeah.
What do I go by? I mean, I like to go to the gym. I do powerlifting.
Absolutely.
I think a common misconception people have, and I've had people, message me about, is that powerlifting, like they confuse powerlifting and bodybuilding a lot. So they'll always ask me like, "Oh, when's your next show?" and something like that. I'm like, I'm not standing on stage with like an underwear, Like that's not my. I respect the people who do it 100%, but that's not my avenue, So, but yeah, I don't know, a powerlifter, I guess.
Yeah,
I do powerlifting.
You guys probably definitely seen him on TikTok.
Yeah.
Obviously, one thing that went viral, I kept seeing everywhere was
my God.
Was when you actually did the competition.
Right.
Congratulations on that.
You
got third place, right?
Yeah. So my most recent one, I did get third place podium. Yeah. Alhamdulillah,
so alhamdulillah. So at that situation, you guys probably definitely seen him, and we just definitely needed to get him on the podcast just because we want to obviously talk about fitness, and we kind of want to get into like a little bit about discipline. Hopefully, we'll get into the questions later, but. Yeah, this is just a quick introduction to our boy right here, man.
Thank you. I do want to mention though one thing. So this is, and I talk to this about everybody, like all my homies, right? Is that a lot of times people think all I do is fitness. Like when they're like, oh, like Yasser, like, oh, who's Yasser? Like Nation, who's Nation? Oh, the fitness guy, the small guy, the fitness guy. Oh, okay, nice.
They try boxing you,
and it's like. True. I remember distinctly having one person like ask me, like we were talking about fitness or something like that, casual conversation. They're asking me a bunch of stuff, and I'm answering. And then I was like, oh yeah, like, I got to go to the gym. Like I usually do late training sessions because I work like 9 to 5, They're like, oh, you work? I was like, what do you mean, do I work? What kind of question is that? Yeah, I work. And they're like, oh, like, I thought this was your life. Like, I'm like, this is not pay bills. This is not like
not yet.
Get food on the table type thing,
Okay, could be a compliment. They're trying to tell you you're that big, like that. What
I don't know. That's a stretch.
Could be.
It's like, to me, like I didn't take it bad. Don't get me wrong, but and a lot of people think that way, right? But it's funny to me, again, the homies always clown me. They're like, yeah, you're really just known as that guy who does fitness. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? You lift a couple of circles, you go home, and they think that's it. You just sleep and you wake up and you do the same thing next day. But that's not what I do. I actually have a life. I go to work like everybody else. I did school like everybody else. Alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
But yeah.
I like how you brought that up because, sometimes we have that same kind of experience too as well.
Yeah.
Where in general, people, when they like see you doing something a little bit out of the ordinary, they start to box you in and say like, okay, yeah, they're like, well, what's Marella? Oh, the podcast, you know what I mean? And they're like, whenever you try to do something a little bit deviating from what the perception of you is, it's like, oh, what is this guy doing, or what is this person doing?
They think you're moving too out of line.
Yeah, exactly. So even when it comes to the podcast, people try to box you in on a certain genre or niches, but in reality, it's like something that I've been preaching or like been saying a lot throughout the episodes is like, do whatever you want to do. If it's something that's good and not something that's wrong, try it out because life is short and it's important. Like right now, I was gonna ask like, what made you start your like the gym fitness journey? Like what made you start? I remember, we went to the same university. Right. I remember sometimes you're like, I'm going to the gym, and I was like, all right, this guy. Like we would all go to the gym casually, but then I just started seeing,
paint a picture like your start, like how you started off.
Okay.
How you were looking. Like we want to kind of give a conceptual for the viewers out there.
Okay. So I feel like I tell this story a lot, but I love it. It's a story that I love telling. So basically, it more or less started like. And I say like the serious gymming because there were a lot of like even prior like to this point like university like we were talking about, there were a lot of points where it'd be like 2-3 months on, and you know, I take it off, or I just, there was no structure to it, which is totally fine, by the way. Like, there's nothing wrong with not having structure in the beginning, or even like towards years into it. But so when we started university, same time we started university, I had a friend of mine who we graduated high school with, and basically we had when we went to school, so we went to high school together. And when we were coming to university, he actually for his first year went out. So he went out to like Newfoundland or something like that. Somewhere, like, he had family there, so it was understandable. So he went, and he was over in Newfoundland. And so for that first year, I wasn't gymming or doing anything really. I was just kind of going about my life, you know, as a first year. He came back second year, and I guess because of the, like, how little there were things to do there, the gym was all he did when he was there, right? He had a lot of people, I guess, mentors that he learned out there that Absolutely. He started following up on. Mm-hmm. So when he came back, he was on a gung-ho, like, let's do it. Like, I'm going to the gym. And mind you, we were under the same program, same schedule. Like, we made sure everything aligned. So whenever he had his breaks, I had my breaks. When he was in class, I was in class. So I was like, the guy during his breaks is like, he's go mode. It's either he's studying or he's going to the gym. So I was like, okay, I may as well, like, he would ask me a couple times. First couple of times I was hesitant. I was like, okay, I don't want to do, like, I'm iced. Like, you know, we wake up like crack of dawn for 8:30 lecture. We got a break of 4 hours. The last thing I want to do is like go to the gym and like, you know, smoke myself. So I was like, no, I don't want to do it, you know? But then eventually I was like, okay, like, I really am not doing anything in those moments anyway. Let me just go and see what's up with it. So those were, I guess that was a timeline of which, you know, you would see me kind of in the gym with him. And, you know, just doing whatever. Like, it really, I was just following his lead. Like, there was no real structure to it. I was just in there to be in there, you know? Mm-hmm. But without even realizing it, having been in that groove with him for so long, it just became a habitual thing. Like, it became an everyday thing. Like, okay, now I'm actually just... When I know, like, mornings, like, let's say Monday to Wednesday, when I have my morning classes after that break, I know I'm headed to the gym. That's what I'm occupying at least an hour and a half of my time with, you know? So that stuck with me for some time. And then we kind of rode that wave all throughout university for the years to come. And then once we got out of it, I guess it became, obviously, we weren't bound to, like, being in school and having to, you know, go to the school gym, that sort of stuff, have that routine. So I won't say like grew apart, but he kind of did his own thing. We did go to commercial gym together. Like, we would go in gym whenever we had the chance, but it was like not as often, right? So we kind of went our own separate ways, and that was totally fine, you know, like eventually that happens, right?
Partners break up, huh?
Yeah, you know, partners break up. Mm-hmm. And obviously it was weird at first because I was so accustomed to like hitting the same weights as him, suffering the same injuries as him. Like, we did it all, you know what I mean? Like, the whole meathead, like, we were in it, you know what I mean? We were, like, the whole spectrum, right?
So how was the motivation at that point? Like, did you kind of, like, were you still that, like, kind of locked in on the mindset of I'm going to go every day? Or was it like, damn, it doesn't feel the same without him?
I think, like, I really do want to say, like, and sit here and tell everyone, like, yeah, I was, like, motivated and dedicated on my own, and I did it by my own, but that's not true, you know what I mean? I owe a lot to having him as a partner, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very underrated thing. I find that a lot of people don't get the privilege of is having somebody who's just as equally, like, motivated, if not more, you know, to go to the gym. So I owe a lot of credit to him because it was like, he was one of those people, bro, where, like, it didn't matter. Like, I remember this so vividly. I would work, when we started working, like, part-time with work and stuff, I would have my 7 to 3 days of work, get to school by like 4:30, you know, after taking the bus for an hour or whatever. We'd have a lecture at 7 to 10. In that window, we're gymming, you know? So it was like work, and then work again, you know what I mean? So it was like, bro, like, I would look at him sometimes and be like, yo, are we doing this really? And he'd be like, eh, you know, but like, I loved it, you know what I mean? I just loved it because he was like, he would never complain. He would never be one to say like, oh, I'm smoked. And if he did, it was in a joking manner, you know? So yeah, but I owe, like, back to your question, like, I owe a lot to him, you know what I mean? Like, I can't sit here and pretend like it came solely from me, the motivation aspect of it. But I will say though, it, you know, having to be on my own after like post grad and like starting to do the things on my own time, that was a lot more difficult, and that was a lot more of a, okay, I need to remind myself, like, okay, what am I doing this for? You know what I mean? Am I doing it for myself, or was I doing it just because I had a friend around, we were lifting heavy weights, and it was a good pastime, you know? So Yeah, that was a long answer, but
yeah, that was great. That was great. How you said
Yeah.
it. I have a question. So a lot of people have like issues with when they start the gym. They say, okay, yo, I'm going 2-3 weeks, maybe 2-3 months, and then they realize like, oh, yo, I don't see any change.
Yeah.
Like, how did you overcome that hurdle? Especially like, you know, we're all Somali here. And then the thing about
skinny Somali stigma. That's what I call it.
We have a syndrome or like a stereotype that we're all skinny. You know what I mean? Legs not saying much. You know what I mean?
Bro, I still think I'm skinny. I genuinely still think I'm skinny. I genuinely still think I'm like
everlasting.
If anything, battle, like lean to the brim. I hate it.
You know what? I'm just gonna post his lat picture right here. His lat spread right here.
Ain't no last spread. You won't find the last spread on me. No, not me. And if you did, it ain't me. It was somebody else.
No, Allah Mubarak, brother. You're D's, brother.
You're
D's,
man. You're doing a great thing for our community too, as well, because a lot of people maybe they didn't think maybe that's possible. Because a lot of people sometimes they have like, it's not on purpose, but it's like a limiting belief where like, oh, I'm Somali, I'm not able to get strong like that. Or I'm not able to gain muscle mass like that or something like that. You know what I mean? So what would you say to people like that, or people who tried for a couple weeks but maybe they had either like nutrition all wrong or the workout program wrong?
Before that, I want to tell a story because, like, I'll be honest, maybe it's just kind of me being this airhead sometimes, but I never realized like how much of an impact there came from me even like posting videos on TikTok of me going to the gym, whatever, doing these things or competitions or whatnot. I never realized the magnitude of people who appreciate it until I had people like in the comments saying like, oh, like this is crazy, like I'm so happy for you, like like, you know, just not randoms, but like just anybody, right? And then there were, you know, instances where I'd, you know, be in a public, or like there was one particular one where I was at an event and one of the brothers I knew came up to me. He's like, yo, like I started going to the gym because of you.
Wow.
And like in the moment I was like, oh, okay, appreciate, you know, like you just, I was like, that's sick, you know, but then I deeped it after and I'm like, whoa, like there's no way I had that type of, you know, impact on motion, someone, you know?
Yeah. Say it again?
No, I said motion.
That's definitely.
I won't say motion. I won't say motion.
No,
we keep it humble here.
No,
but
it's funny. I just want to say one little funny thing. I remember COVID, rough times. Gyms were closed and stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember
that was tough.
Yeah, that was
finding
tough.
a gym to go at. That was tough.
Yeah. So I remember Yasser used to post stories. What was it called? The resistant bands.
Oh my!
Yeah, oh my God, that was a nuts one. That's a nuts era.
I remember.
You took my.
That's a crazy era. Oh my God.
Yeah. So me, I'm seeing this guy. Yo, COVID's not stopping him.
You're OG. You remember that?
Yeah. So I'm like, yo, I'm seeing this guy.
I was gonna bring that up right now, man. This guy took my point, bro.
Yeah. No, I just remember this. I remember. So I'm like, yo, I see this guy going hard. COVID's not stopping him. Yeah. I remember I swipe up. I'm like, yo, where'd you get this from? Yada yada. He said, yeah, man, Amazon. Boom boom. Here's the link. Whatever. I'm like, okay, I got it. So I'm doing my thing, you know. I'm like, okay. So in a way, you know what I'm saying. So that's why, like, that guy coming up to you and saying, yo, I went to the gym because of you. Or I did this work because of you. Yeah. It's motion, man. You know what I mean?
I mean, call it as you want. To me, I always say alhamdulillah. Like, nothing, and I don't even mean this in like the most corny of ways because it can come off corny. Is that nothing makes me happier than seeing like Somali brothers, particularly in the gym, just grinding. You know what I mean? Because we could all be occupying our time with so many other things. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we do, of course. Like we're not all perfect, but when you see the group of homies, like the other night, I had seen a couple of guys I hadn't seen in so long. You know, at my gym, and like. I knew from where they lived, there was like a trip they took out to come to the gym. But I seen that, I was like, yo, this is, like, I loved it. You know what I mean? Like, it kept me going. It was weird. It was one of those things where I was like, why am I giddy over this, you know? But, like, it genuinely made me happy to see that, you know? Because it just meant that, like, guys are willing to actually, like, you know, get in the gym, just grind it out. And I don't want to even make it, like, sappy, like, work on yourself and stuff like that. Like, I've never really been one of those people that, like, I gotta put those quotes out, that the ones that sell and this and that and the third, but it's just like it was nice. It was a nice thing to see, you know. But back to your question. I went away. What was your question? One more time.
Before I go back to my question,
go ahead.
I agree with like sometimes people might look at this conversation one dimensional, say, man, these guys are always just talking about working out, and just it's kind of like they may look at it in vain. Yeah. But in reality, working out, especially as like men, that like for example like Somali or Muslim or it's like it's a good outlet. It's a positive outlet. In reality, how many negative outlets we can take, but it's a positive outlet to put like your effort and kind of like improving yourself. And in reality, the more you work on, like I'm gonna be the sappy guy saying it then.
That's fair.
Because you're saying you don't want to say it, but I'm saying the more you work and continuously build things that you know what I mean, you're proud of. Yeah. The more it shows in other aspects of
100%.
Whether it's work, whether it's you know what I mean. relationships with other people. In a way, it builds confidence.
Absolutely,
right?
bro.
I also think though, like it was kind of like a note that with going to the gym, there's two things that I think about. Number one is consistency, and number two is discipline.
Yeah.
Right. So I think for me, like kind of hearing what you have to say about the situation, it's like I think the reason why you look at it and be like, of course, you know, you said that they could be filling their time with other stuff, but at the same time, you see someone with very similar interests, right, that is doing something that you love to do. You know what I mean? And looking at it from a perspective of, yo, these guys are willing to get at it the same way that I was when I was like, you know, starting this. You know what I mean? So I think from another angle, it could just be like, maybe not necessarily like you saying like, not to answer the question, but to kind of go into it. It's like maybe you kind of felt like this was me back in the days. It's like I'm starting off
in a sense.
I'm starting to, and I could see the amount of effort that they're willing to put in order to work towards their goal of what they want to get to.
True.
You know?
Like the thing is with me, 100%. Like I do see that to some respect, but it's just for me personally too. Like I never put myself on a position of which like, you know, I've nowhere near achieved what I want. Like this, like I was talking about, and we'll get into like the powerlifting thing. Like if there's one thing that it's taught me is that I am the smallest guy in the room 90% of the time. You know what I mean? Like there are people in the sport who you genuinely would never have like expected to be pulling or squatting or benching the weight that they do, but they do it with ease, you know, and it's humbling. But I love that, you know, like I strive for that. So I always try to set the precedence, at least for myself, because I can know that's all I'm in control of, right? That there's always more you need to try and attain, you know what I mean? Don't ever settle just to be like, you have a routine, cool, like awesome, you know what I mean? But what do you want out of it, you know what I mean? Like set your goals, but don't give yourself like finite goals to where like you'll disappoint yourself in the end too, right? Because I find those always do upset you to some respect, you know, like when you have those things that you want to attain and you're like, oh, I want to get to this point by this date, and then this date comes around and you don't have it because life took its natural course of selection, and you know, this happened and you weren't able to do it. You know, it upsets yourself, and it's not as motivating, you know?
So speaking of disappointment, right? I have a quick question. So I kind of touched up on it before, but it was like there are some people that kind of are in the gym flex, right? They're just trying to get big. Let's just say like that's
and there's nothing wrong. Nothing is wrong with that whatsoever.
So they're trying to get big, right? So the question that they might have towards you might be like, have you ever felt kind of disappointed? Like let's just say you were talking about goals, right? And obviously you want to set like shorter term goals so that way you can succeed or get to that desired goal. So have you ever felt like at a certain time, like you set a goal for yourself by a certain point, been disappointed? And if that happened, how did you kind of how did you get back into looking at it from more of a positive aspect and use that as a lesson instead of kind of sulking?
Absolutely. Yeah. The most, I guess, recent example I could say is when I had my first competition. So when I had my first powerlifting, by the way, I'm going to give a rundown on how it works. So basically with powerlifting, it's a strength kind of, strongest man wins in a sense, right? There's strongman, which is a different department, but like it's strongest with
those guys
strength
are throwing boulders.
Yeah, those guys are you're throwing rocks that are like 400 pounds. You're throwing like bean bags that weigh like 100 a pop, and you're just chucking them up in the air, and it goes over.
That's crazy.
Could not be me, and it will never be me. But powerlifting is basically, so you'll have your compound lifts of squat, bench, and deadlift, and you get 3 attempts in each, and you basically advance with your like heaviest totals, you know, from each one. So let's say, you know, you have squat on your first lift, you do your opener, which is what they call like your first attempt for that, and then, you know, you do your second, your third, and whatever's the highest weight you've done for that carries into your ultimate like total, right? Then you go on to bench, same deal. Whatever's your highest total, you'd carry over. Then you go into deadlift, so on and so forth, and then your ultimate total, like the end total, is, you know, whoever has the highest total at the lowest weight basically wins. You know, and there's weight categories, of course. You know, so anyway, the reason why I'm saying this is because for my first competition, being that it was the first competition, it was really just, you know, one of those things where my coach and I, we were just like, let's go through it, test the water, see how it is. We're going to go through things relatively raw, you know, so like no belt, you know, no added kind of accessories, because there's a lot of things that you can really add that give you leverage in the sport. So he was just
what does the belt do, like, for people who might not know?
So the belt, for me at least, has served as kind of like an assisted brace. The reason why I say assisted is because you don't necessarily need the belt to have a good brace. And what I was taught through my coach is that as long as you have good like breath control and you learn the fundamentals of like bracing, and kind of keeping your core tight when you're doing these movements, you really don't need a belt. Like the belt will just kind of serve as an add-on, but it won't serve as any more of a leverage that you will, carry into the competition. So, but back to my point. So, in that powerlifting meet, the first one I had made, so there's weight categories. And the category I was aiming to be in was 83 kilograms because everything in there is done by kilograms. Mm-hmm. So in that category, it's basically anybody who's 183 pounds and I think between 183 pounds and 176 pounds. That's that category. So, and for me, I was always someone who loved to bulk. Like I love putting on mass. I love the weight. So at that point when I made this decision, I was walking around at like 194, 193. Mm-hmm. So I had to cut a decent amount. And most people say like the rookie mistake you can make is try and cut before your first meet, right? Because your first meet is really not supposed to be anything like astounding unless you have crazy genetics. Like you just go through the midst of it, see how it is, and then it is, you learn from it and you keep it pushing, right? I didn't want to hear that. I just told myself, I said, I need every added leverage, because the way I was thinking about it, and now that I look back, I just feel so dumb. It's like I was like, I want to qualify because it's easier to qualify in lower categories, right? For things like provincial level, national level, because those things exist. It's like OFSA, like basketball, you get OFSA, you get Team Canada like level, like there's serious things, right? So in my head, I was like, okay, if I do these weights that I do at a lower weight, it'll be more like I'll be more proud of myself, But not realizing the work and ethics that comes in having to lose that weight while trying to simultaneously like keep your strength up, right? Yeah. It's crazy hard. Yeah. And not having a nutritionist as well, right? Just kind of like doing things fasted in a sense, right? Yeah. So coming around to that first competition, obviously it was tough. Like when I tell you, brother, like the morning. So in the morning you basically have your weigh-ins, right? And that's the morning weight. Whatever you weigh in at that morning is what you run with on the competition day, right? So depending on that is where you're being put in category. Mm-hmm. So that night I went weighing, I think like just at the cusp of like the actual cutoff, like 183 or something, 183, 184 and change. Mm-hmm. So I was like, cool. When I go to bed and I wake up, I'll probably be lighter. It's just, that's how it usually goes. Mm-hmm. I wake up and I'm still hard stuck right there at that corner. I think like point something or whatever. So I'm thinking to myself like, yeah, I got to use the bathroom. Like I got to do something. This is 6, 7 in the morning. I got to drive down to Arnprior. I'm like, I didn't eat nothing the night before. I went fasted. I ate maybe like a banana at best or something just for like, energy levels and stuff. But like I need to do something. So I'm sitting there on the toilet for like 20 minutes, bro. trying to get something. Just trying to get something out of my system, And like, there was like, ironically, nothing is going my way. Like, the
only thing you're losing is time, huh?
I'm just wasting time at this point. So I'm like, all right, bro. Like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just hop in the car. I'm like, and this was like 5 in the morning. So mind you, I'm sitting in the washroom 5, 6 in the crack of dawn, just trying to figure my business out, literally, Mm-hmm. But anyway, I just said, bun this. I'm hitting the road. Whatever I hit is whatever I hit. So I hit the road, and my coach is like, all right, bro, like, I mean, if you really are, like, we already came this far, like, you're going to have to start spitting, because that's another thing people do, like, you spit, right? You dry spit. So you get spit, and you knock out your mucus, and it's helped,
The water, you're bringing down the water?
Yeah, like, when you spit out your mucus, it's like, your shape, when you're very close to those marks, like, it does genuinely help. I've seen people lose, like, half a kg off that stuff. There's a lot
of different other techniques. Like UFC, I heard that they go sauna and stuff. They go to sauna.
They do sauna.
There's another technique.
And I had done that the night before. Like I did sauna, cold shower, went back sauna, depleted. I think I shaved within a span of 48 hours. Like I think 5 pounds, like 6 pounds. Like serious stuff, right? Not understanding the repercussions of doing that. Just kind of going about it willy nilly, right? Because there's people that these people in the UFC, they have their methods of going about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I'm spitting on the way there, 50-minute ride. I'm just you know, like any chance I get, roll down the window, you know, like
guys looking like a farmer.
Yo, that's crazy. That's what everybody doesn't see, huh? They don't see that struggle,
bro. And the thing is, it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
It really didn't. But I just let it get to that point where I was like, I have to be like, this is where discipline comes. This is where like I'm gonna get serious. So I get there, alhamdulillah, I made weight, and I made weight by I had lost. I think that weigh in, I was 180.8. So I lost like 3 pounds or something of stress from sweating, because that contributes to, from spitting. Like I was all in. Like I was all in, you know. Right after weigh-ins, I had my Pedialyte, you know, my electrolytes. So, you know, rehydrated, whatever, tastes terrible, you know. So then I'm going through the motions of the first competition. You know, we have squats up. Squats go okay. My second one, I had to bail out of it because, like, I don't know, I lost tension in the whole, like, there's a video. I'll try and bring it. But it was embarrassing. It looks like I'm going down, and I just kept going down. And Did
you fall down?
Went back. Yeah, I just fell back.
Oh, man.
And then the spotters, like, had to grab it off me, you know? So, super embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. Because it genuinely did not look like there was anything wrong. I just stopped keeping tight, you know?
Oh, okay.
And it was super annoying, too, because it was like the weight at which I was attempting then was my all-time PR, right? And the rule is, basically the system is they have 3 judges, one in front of you, one to the left, and one to the right. And they each are responsible for like a white or red light. So for you to advance, you have to get at least 2 out of 3 white lights to be able to advance to the next and try, you know, a higher weight.
Yeah.
But if you don't, I think that's how it goes. If you get, like, let's say 3 whites across the board, or 1 white, or sorry, if you get like 3 reds across the board, or like just 1 white and 2 reds, you have to either do the same weight you have attempted or lower. So on that second one, obviously I got reds across the board because I just failed. It put me like at a position where I could not attempt anything higher and not PR on that. So right there, I was already upset. I was like, yo, like, I can't do any better than what I've done all time. Like, I just have to either do that so I just attempted it again, but I was so cheesed, you know, because I was like, bro, like, imagine going through prep, off-season, all this, just for this to happen, and my first one. But I said, you know what, alhamdulillah, it is what it is. So third one went around. Anyway, go through the rest of the competition. It went good. And then, so I'm thinking to myself, because at the end was the awards and all, they're giving the podium stuff and all that. And I think from when I looked at because they had the spreadsheet up as well, I was like, okay, like, I see, like, I have a chance and shot at third, you know what I mean? Like, I genuinely believe that I had a shot at third, you know, looking up the totals, all that. So we stuck around for at least another hour after, like, it was done, you know, because I was like, okay, I'm probably going to get, you know, podium or whatever. This was embarrassing, bro. I gave my phone to my dog, and I'm like, yo, like, when I'm up there, like, you know, like, record, like, it was, when I tell you, bro, it hurt me inside. So long story short, I ended up getting 4th, right? Which meant I wasn't on podium, and I didn't get to go up, and I didn't get a medal, nothing. And, bro, it was like, you know that feeling when, like, your chest just, like, your heart drops.
Your heart
like,
drops,
you know
all the way down.
It sunk deep to my toes, you know? And, like, it was more like, so, like, I had so many people out there too, you know, that, like, came to show love, and, like, people were watching, and, like, just so many thoughts came rushing to my head, you know? But I had to remind myself, and this is going back to, again, long answer, but going back to your point of, like, how did I overcome kind of these trials? I had to remind myself, like, evidently, like, these things happen. For one, I did kind of ask for it, and I have to be honest, I asked for it by, one, trying to do a ridiculous 10-pound cut in 6 weeks, you know, while trying to gain, you know, weight and get strong. It just wasn't realistic because of how I went about it. And 2, like, I was trying to fast track, you know, like, I just wanted to get my medal, spend a couple months doing this, and get out, you know, which is not realistic. A lot of these people wait years before they can get, like, onto Team Canada level, you know what I mean, and lose year after year after year, you know. Obviously, like, their dedication may be different than mine, but I had to remind myself, like, yo, like, it's okay to not be that guy in the moment. Like, you know what I mean? Simply put, like, you need some humbling. You need humility in the sense of, like, you need to remind yourself, okay, look, what am I actually doing this for? Was I just doing this to have, like, this nice sick edit that comes out and whatever? Or am I actually doing this because I want to genuinely challenge myself and push myself, you know, to a higher standard, you know? So coming out of that, I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Charge it. Like, write the invoice, write it, you know, like, it is what it is. But it'll make being on podium that much better the next time around, right? Yeah. So, and then after that, I just made the executive decision. I was like, I can't be hanging around at that weight or trying to cut, right? It's just not realistic, you know? Obviously, being at the next one up, which I'm at now, is a 93 kilograms. So that's basically everything from 183 to 205, which is a very competitive, you know, bracket of people, you know? I was like, obviously it's going to be harder to qualify, you know, it's not going to be a cakewalk to get to this provincial level, regional level, national level, world level.
Is that your goal though?
Yeah, 100%, inshallah, you know.
And you made that point to say that the reason why that's your goal is because you want to constantly push yourself. That's
absolutely,
that's
right?
The main, that's your main goal.
Yeah, you want to be like, to me, it's always if I'm like deep down knowing I'm the biggest in the room, I'm in the wrong room. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like by any means do I want to put myself in a situation like that, because it just bottlenecks like your room for growth, in my opinion, right? Like, I find like I'm just not productive in those, you know, like I get complacent, like I'll just cruise, I'll have fun for sure, but it's just it won't go anywhere, right? Yeah. So that was a real humbling experience of like, if you really are serious about this, then you need to, you know, take it seriously and take some humility, you know, in what you do. So
I feel like it's like, even on that point too, like a lot of the times whenever you have a skill or something that you guys like want to get better at, I'll give you an example. All of us hoop, you know what I mean? So at the same time, imagine
I'm an ex-hooper. I don't hoop. I was bad.
No, don't say that.
The best lefty is behind the camera right now, actually. Just putting that out there.
No, but so if you have, for example, with ball, right?
Right.
Anytime that you go to runs where you're cooking, that is like, you're not getting any better. You know what I mean? Like, in essence, like, you want to continue to keep challenging yourself, not only from an aspect of like you're collecting information and like ways to get better from these people who are better than you, but on top of that, there's also like, as men, you know, like, we're very competitive, you know, and I think with any type of skill that you're very interested in, you always want to at least strive to become like the best version of yourself that you could be.
100%.
So these people will motivate you. So the thing is, that's one thing that I would want to like commend, because that mindset is very hard to come by. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people like kind of just sit there and kind of sulk and be like, damn, man, like, or number one, they'll say I'm the best in the room, which they don't understand. There's many different rooms that are out there. You know what I mean? That you're gonna be looking small. Yeah. Whereas there's other people who are like, I see myself and I'm not necessarily like the biggest in the room, but it's like sulking and be like, oh my god, why me?
Why not me? Yeah,
exactly. And I feel like as a lesson towards people that are listening out there, not saying that, you know, any of us are at the place that we want to. You
By
know,
no means at all.
You know what I mean? Like he said, also from us, you know, like even from a podcasting standpoint, it's like I feel like me and Ismail, like we can collectively agree that, like, you know, we're not the best at this. This is, and every single essence, like you're never gonna be the best. Or astaghfirullah, you're never gonna be the best, but you have to work towards getting to the position that you want to be at.
Absolutely.
You're not always gonna be at the top spot starting off. Like, let's just say skiing is a good example. Yo, first of all,
I love skiing.
Oh my god, skiing!
That's crazy. I started at a different room, and then I joined the other room. That's all I have to say. I was not the best in the room. They know it was my room. Yeah. Me and a bunch of kids. We're all on the same level. That's crazy. And then I left.
Do you remember the first time we went skiing? It was the day that all of us went. And it was, I think, you know what's so crazy? I remember vividly, you were wearing a Camp Fortune, like, vest.
Yeah, my
and then you just run around with the speaker in the back.
Yeah. I was one of those guys.
Oh, you had the goggles.
I had my goggles.
I
had my helmet. From
goggles, helmet, certified. But by the way, speaker.
So listen. No, I was like, you don't understand. Cause I was locked in. Like, I was one of them guys. Had a backpack. Speaker in the back. Little babies banging from my back. Babies banging from my pause. Like, it was crazy.
Banging from the back is crazy.
No, yeah, that's crazy.
Yo, but
time out.
Where's the jar? Is the jar there?
It's right here.
It's right there.
That's crazy. Pause. But yeah, no, I was serious. And that thing is, that Camp Fortune thing, I got from Value Village.
It was yellow, right?
It was orange.
It was bright orange.
Yeah. You know what the problem with that is? I was like, all right, I'm going to skiing with Yasser, man, and a couple of other guys. He was like,
who do we go? How many people?
A lot of us. It was like 30
we were
guys.
Deep. Yeah. We had no business being on those hills.
Like 90% of people were inexperienced, right? Including me. and Yusuf, right? And then you were just like, it's easy, man. Just
it was you and a bunch of the guys. It was a bunch of guys from the group chat, if you can remember, and those guys knew how to ski. So you guys were on your own group.
Yeah.
And then there was me, Ismail, Khalid, and a bunch of other guys that were just on the bunny hills eating shit. I'll be honest.
Hey, but like, the thing is about that skiing is like the first 4 times you go is gonna be miserable. Yeah. You're gonna be on a bunny hill, bound to it, like just cheese, like wondering and contemplating why you even started. But that 5th time, oh my!
When you shred those white,
when you just you're cutting through
the trees,
blaring tracks, you feel like a guy,
well,
like a certified guy, you know.
So that's just to kind of conclude my point is like you gotta be in a situation where you're always looking towards getting better, and it starts off with going in rooms where you kind of feel like you need to like. You're the smallest in the room, you know 100%, what I mean?
100%.
And in that essence, like you're gonna start to become better, and it's something that sometimes you might not even consciously do on your own. It might not be intentional.
Yeah.
But even like with school too, it's like surrounding yourself with people who are a lot smarter. It's like you're gonna catch on to a few things, and then from there, like without even knowing it, you're improving yourself. You know.
100%.
I feel like it goes into every aspect of life, and that's why, like, just to keep on reiterating the point is like. These lessons that you learned through the experience you had can boil down to, like, for example, discipline is something in every aspect of your life you have to use, you know what I mean? Whether it's like school, work, Dean, for example,
100%.
like sports.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like something like I always say, like, especially like for young kids to start doing sports or anything, it's not just about the sports, not 1D. You got to think 3D chess here, you know?
100%.
It's about all the other things that come with it. Another thing, what was the transition from, okay, I'm just working out like with your partner, and then you just switched over to, I'm just doing the competitions. Like, what was that switch? What made you decide I want to start taking this to the next level?
That's a good question. I want to say it was natural, but in all honesty, man, it's like I always had a love for like lifting heavy, you know what I mean? And not to say my gym partner did, you know. I mean, no, that's not to say that I was able to successfully do it. I just loved it, you know. Yeah. It was just always like I never really liked the whole like volumetric, even though, by the way, that's a big part of. I never realized powerlifting, you know, like there's a big part of it that's just volume based, you know. But I always loved like just lifting heavy, you know, and my friend also was on that same tip, but. Actually had another friend who much older guy. He at first I remember like when we got out of university and we went to like commercial gyms, he would always tell me about, like you should do powerlifting. I'm like, what is powerlifting? At first I didn't know what it was, right? I was just like anybody else, like I was thinking it's like bodybuilding, you know, or something. And I was like, I'm not going down that route, you know what I mean? He's like, no, like you should really like powerlifting, look into it. I did it because he had done it back in like 2016 and he was good. He made it to provincial levels and stuff like that, you know? But and then there were a couple people actually in the gym as well who are a part, actually now like my team that I'm a part of as well, that were training at that gym, and they were, you know, preparing for their competitions at the time in the gym, stuff like that. So I see glimpses of it. I see someone lifting like ridiculous numbers, you know, deadlifts of like 6th place, like crazy things, you know. And it just I garnished like a lot more of an interest towards it, and I was like, okay, there's an actual avenue that like gives love to this whole lifting heavy, you know, with structure, of course. And you know, I pitched the idea, of course, always. Like my friend, he had recently got married, you know, he was recently acquired a house. He was one of those like Adans where like they got themselves like on their feet, you know, real quick. So I knew he had a lot of responsibilities that he was taking upon. But I had asked him, I said, yo, like, is this an avenue? Like, because there would be nothing more than to have him, like, nothing more happier to me than having him, you know, compete alongside me. And I told him that. I was like, yo, like, we should do this. We should really do it. Like, I have the information for it, you know? But it was like he was like, yeah, I'm down, or like he'd be indifferent about it. So I knew the vibe was like, yes, he wants to, but like he's not really willing to kind of make that commitment. So, you know, I just went about it on like, okay. And it was around the time too where like he wasn't going to the gym as often as well. He was getting a lot more busier. A lot more sessions were becoming like solo sessions, you know? So I just kind of said, you know what, like, I'm going to do me, simply put, you know, like, if I want to do this, I mean, there's no better time than to do it now. And I just kind of made that shift towards it. And I explained to him, I said, yo, like, I don't think there was ever like a conversation where I had to sit him down and be like, yo, look, like, I'm breaking up with you. Like, we're not going to be in the gym together, you know?
That's harder. That's the hardest breakup, man.
It is, bro. It's so awkward. It can be awkward, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm grateful that he was someone who was understanding, you know, because like at this point I had acquired like a gym or a coach. Sorry. I got a coach under my wing who, you know, does my programming, tells me what I do in the gym, you know, so he would jump onto them every now and then and stuff like that. But I guess he just kind of became more and more like understanding of like, okay, he's actually pursuing this as an athlete, you know. And he came out to my competitions and stuff, you know. He still supported, showed love, nice, you know. And there was nothing more motivating than seeing him there, you know, while I do my thing. So,
but I like how you brought that up, right? The coach thing, and that was something that I've seen on your page as well. Yeah, and then it got me thinking, right? Is because it's easy to say, okay, Yasser, he's been working out for quite a couple years now, at least. You know what I mean? He started working out and getting great results, mashallah, Allahum barak, right? So, as men, for example, it would be hard to think in your head, like, we kind of get like an ego. Like, even guys now, right now, we're like, if I tell someone like, you'll get a personal trainer, they're like, why do I need a I can do this myself, man. Why do I need this? So how did you? I feel like this also spills into other aspects of life, is because some people, like, you realize that sometimes you need help from other people to get to that next level. Absolutely. But a lot of us, we're scared to ask because we feel like, yo, it's like we have an ego. A lot of us have pride. We're like, oh, I don't want to ask this person because it makes me feel like I'm lower, right? So how did you have that with this coach? Like, you're seeing yourself getting great results. Like, what? Like, someone would say, why does Yasser need a coach?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that, honestly, because my coach, he had, great brother, Muslim brother as well.
Shout out to Coach.
Coach Saluji. We'll call him Saluji. Yeah. Great guy. And he had made a post about it too, like just talking about like hiring a coach in general, because he does like kind of spiels like that, you know, but very, very knowledgeable guy. Like, this guy's, whatever I'm putting out there, he's the brains behind whatever I'm putting out there. You know what I mean? I'm just a muse, and he tells me jump, I say how high, you know? Like, you know what I mean? Within reason. But anyways, so yeah, like, he made a post about it, and like, he basically said like, the first step in desiring a coach and wanting to be at the next level is understanding that there is somebody out there who has more knowledge. Like we said, like, you are never, like, there's almost always, if not always, going to be someone who's bigger in the room than you, more knowledgeable and have more experience than you know? So it's important that you know that to start, and that you seek the knowledge from others, you know what I'm saying? So that was a huge thing for me, was like, I need to humble myself and be like, I don't know the answers. And I want to say, like, I'm grateful for this, and I already knew that I wasn't going to be able to get through this on my own. You know what I mean? It takes a whole lot. Now, having gone through it and having a coach for, you know, over a year, like, you realize how much, like, less stress you have on, like, actually doing, like, the road mapping and stuff like that, and just being more of an athlete. You know what I mean? Like, you get set in your programs after every month for a 4-week spread. You get told what you need to do based on, you know, how things are progressing. All you got to do is make note of the weights you did, how it felt, like, on the, you know, rate of perceived exertion is what they call, like, RPE skill. And you just make note of that, and then you guys have your chats. You send videos after every session of certain workouts you do, be it the squat, bench, or deadlift, you know, stuff like that. So it was like, it wasn't as hard, I guess, to answer your question, for me to kind of take that step of like, I need a coach. But I knew the importance and became a lot more grateful in having a coach, because I just knew the environment that, like, there are a lot of people, don't get me wrong, there are people who train at such high levels that I train with on my team who don't have coaches. They program their own stuff, you know. But those people at some point in their period did have a coach. You know what I mean? They still picked up that knowledge. They still took the leap of like, okay, I need to seek knowledge from outside. Like, I don't have all the answers. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it wasn't challenging for me. I guess, to answer your question, like, I knew that I needed more answers. I knew I wasn't gonna have all the answers. But that's not to say that I didn't have the ego, you know what I mean? Like I 100% and still do struggle with that. Sometimes we're like, I'll go off track a couple of times and be like, okay, wait, dial in. There's a reason why I need to do this, you know? Like one thing I did a lot during my first prep, because we have basically like, you'll have your off season, which is where the foundation of what your growth, you know, and how you perform on competition day comes from. And then your prep, which is like 12 weeks away from your competition. And so that's where you're usually doing the squat, bench, and deadlift at like a higher level. And you're doing like, you know, higher strength, you know, like you're upping the weight. Like things start to get intense, right? So throughout the entire course of my first one, when I was going through it, like for the first time with my coach, like I said, he didn't have me using a belt. I was doing very like different movements that I had never done before, you know? So, and I tell him this all the time, like I'm so grateful for him because I really was to him just questioning everything, you know? Like I'll ask him like, why am I doing this? Why am I not using a belt? Because I went from somebody who was just ego lift, like go in there, try and deadlift whatever this amount of weight and just leave, gorilla, right? You know, it wouldn't be successful, it wouldn't be pretty, but I would try it. You know what I mean? And that was the kind of vibe me and my friend were on. But like, I went from that to having a very like meticulous like schedule of like, okay, we're doing this weight this week, depending on how you feel, of course. But we're gonna do A1s of goblet squats. It's gonna be this. You're doing it to target this. It's gonna complement this compound workout, so on and so forth, right? And I was be like, what is this? Like, where's the part where we just squat, we just bench, we deadlift, and I just meet my PRs, you know? But it was a lot of like, you would just say like, just trust me, it'll come, you know, and all that. And even on like competition day, I'd be like, oh, can I use a belt, you know, stuff like that. But I understand now, having gone through it a second time and being able to hit podium, like, oh wow, like I actually do feel like I got bigger, you know, alhamdulillah. I do feel like I got stronger, you know, all of these things, right? Like these were all relevant, you know, within their respect. So yeah, it's stuff that I wouldn't be able to do on my own. That's for certain, you know, like I wouldn't have had the answer to be able to humble myself and be like, I need to do this, you know. So coaching and stuff like that, that's the number one thing I tell people. You're going into powerlifting, first thing you do is look for a coach. It's truly, you know.
Yeah, man, shout out coach, eh?
Shout out Coach Saluji. We love you.
No, but I have a question. So
what's up?
What advice would you kind of give towards people who are trying to start picking up like the habit of going to the gym? Like what advice would you kind of like, let's just say there's a guy who wants to gain weight or lose weight, like what's advice that you would kind of give to kind of continue to stay consistent during Ramadan? Because it's hard, you know, like
absolutely
you don't necessarily eat during the day, you know what I mean? The only really time that you have after you eat is after maybe Tarawih, you know what I mean? Hopefully you guys go to Tarawih, number one, but
go to your Tarawih.
After Tarawih is probably the only time, but it's like it's a lot earlier now, but at the same time, it's still kind of hard. I imagine you have a family too. So what advice would you kind of give them?
I think this advice I give kind of, it's like general advice. I wouldn't even say it to like bound it to just Ramadan. Is I'm really like, I like to think I'm not on the orthodox tip of like, you know, you need to be like, have this motivation and ask yourself like, why are you getting that? I hate that stuff. I really do not like.
I hate it too.
I don't like the motivational rah nonsense. Like, if you're gonna decide you go to the gym that day, by all means go. But if you forfeit and you don't, just know your day's been wasted. You know what I mean? Like, people who spend too much time thinking about, and I used to do this a lot, like the people who just sulk, like you were saying, like on the way to the gym, they're like, why? Or the people who sit in the parking lot before they go into the gym of like, oh, am I really doing this? I'm about to do leg day. Why? What are you gaining from that? You know what I mean? Like, what is your purpose in doing that? You know what I mean? Like, I think, and again, I owe it to my homie of like just being this person who just goes in, not knowing the answers, not knowing what I'm doing. Like, a lot of times people ask me, yo, I want to look like this, or I want to look like this, or I want to feel like this. What do I got to do this? I'll say, try every single machine, take from it what feels good, run with it, and then do variations of it. Really, that's all you do. It's from trial and error, you know what I mean? So, to your question of like, how do people go through Ramadan? There are going to come times where you're genuinely not going to be able to, and that's just a time constraint thing, or like you don't feel like you do. That's fine. But know that you forfeiting that is like, you've missed out on something that you could, like, even if it meant getting 1% better, like you're getting, you could have gotten a whole lot better just showing up and just doing whatever, even if it meant 20 minutes, you know what I mean? So you're best just going. You know what I mean? You're best just really going, showing up, doing whatever. If it means doing full body for 3 days a week, if it means doing a lower upper, split where you do two times a week lower, 2 times a week upper, which I do right now, and then you rest 3 days, by all means. But like, don't try and like make it more complicated than it needs to be realistically. You know what I mean? A lot of people spend, again, this crazy ridiculous amount of time thinking of like, I was on such a hot streak before Ramadan came around and I had a window of just MIA. I don't think I got it in me anymore. What's going on? Like, this might, like, you're just looking for cop-outs at that point. You know what I mean? Like, you really are, and like, I'm saying this as somebody who does this. Like, I'm not by any means putting myself on a pedestal of like, I just go and I make, no, bro, there's days I hate being there. You know what I mean? Like, there are days in prep where like, I don't want to be here. I want to forfeit. I don't want to do this competition no more, but just roll with the punches, charge it to the game. There's no other, result of you. Like, what you do right now is not gonna, there's not gonna be, I don't know how to say it. It's just like, you're gonna have to roll with it regardless.
It's never tomorrow, huh? Today's tomorrow.
Yeah, like in a sense, right? And again,
he's back with
I don't want to do those like quote things. I'm really not on that tip, you know what I mean? But I try and keep it as simple as possible because it's too simple of a concept to be overcomplicated.
It's either you go or you don't, huh?
It's either you go or you don't.
I have a question, man.
What's up? Go ahead.
So, this is for my listeners, man. Sometimes I think about what are the listeners thinking, man.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are being like, okay, Yasser, man, you're lovely conversation. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Right.
But you know what? I don't care about this. I don't care. One second. I don't care about doing competitions for myself.
100%.
I don't care about lifting crazy on deadlift.
Yeah.
I'm a guy or a girl, because sometimes we're focusing a lot on just men kind of working out.
True.
I'm a guy, I'm a girl, I might have a little bit excess fat and I want to get rid of it, but I've been struggling it for a long time. And this is like not like a new question. It's kind of a customization on his question. It's like, what would be one thing? Because I feel like the more common issue, especially in our community or in general, is like obesity and fat, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much information everywhere. How to lose fat. What is the one? Tummy tea. There's like there's like some products that people say, oh, you add it to your tea and then it makes you lose weight.
Fat burner, stuff like that. Yeah.
Wear a band and it's gonna make you.
Yeah.
Put a suit on, sauna suit.
Yeah.
So what is like one thing? Like, what is your bare bones? Like you said, keep it simple. So what is your bare bones advice to people who are struggling with that?
It's like Space Jam. You want Space Jam?
Yeah.
What's the secret stuff?
What's the secret?
What's in the bottle? What's in the bottle?
Yeah.
For one, everybody's bottle is different. So I mean, it's TikTok. Do what you gotta do.
Yo, it's another quote guy.
TikTok gotta go on. Reels, whatever it is. Everybody's bottle is different. I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, people are always looking for this one size fit all solution. When it comes to like, I need to lose weight. I seen this person do it in X amount of time. You don't know, you don't know who or what they did to get to that point. They could have gotten lipo last week and not told you that,
That's true.
This is the case.
You know what it is? I feel like people, they see an image or something, but like, yo, I want that. But then they don't want to work for it.
Yeah, or some people are just,
genetically they're different.
They're just built different, right? But to keep it as simplistic as possible, when it comes to like trying to lose weight and stuff like that, honest to goodness, people need to have, and I say this to myself again as a reminder because I'm guilty of this, take a look at, one, what are you eating, if you're eating? Because I know a lot of people who do this thing where they drink like, I don't know, they drink Tim Hortons or whatever, because we don't do the other one anymore. They drink Tim Hortons, or like they'll eat a bagel or something like that, and then they'll go to the gym, whatever, and they'll be like, like, the gym is just not hitting the same. I'm not getting strong or whatever. And I asked them, what do you eat? They're like, oh, I just had this bagel and something like that this morning. And I'm looking at the time. It's 8:30 in the night. Yeah. It's like, brother, like, what did you expect? You know what I mean? What did you think was going to help you? Like, you are genuinely going in with, you are dried out on carbs, protein. There's nothing in your system right now. You're going with a dream. You're going in as a dried up raisin looking for a dream, Yo,
I got a random question. What do you think about juice?
Juice?
Yeah.
Like sauce?
No, he's saying like drinking juice.
Juice.
Yeah, Is it healthy? He's basically saying is juice healthy to drink?
Oh, what type of juice? But you should be specific with this guy.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, there are different types of juice. Like actual just general juice, like.
What if you're like a juice
like Minute Maid juice?
Apple juice.
Because
Like
you know why he's asking though,
right.
is because a lot of people say like in the fitness industry, people say like, yo, you're not allowed to drink juice because it's high in calories. You know what I mean?
Bogus.
So that's why he's asking.
Bogus.
Oh yeah.
Bro, like the people. Okay. Let me not say bogus. There are people, right, who again they flourish off of, cutting out juice in their diets or. Going on keto diets or whatever, this and that and the third, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it works great for them, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But for the vast majority of people,
this guy went on a keto diet.
That's crazy.
That's why he's smiling.
No, listen, if it worked, did it work?
It worked a lot. It worked very well.
So that's what, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But
no, I get where you're coming from, though.
Yeah,
I agree.
for the
stuff,
it's stuff that people go to such extremities to cut out of their life. Sometimes it works. There's a good 9 out of 10 times that it doesn't get them the results they desire in that very moment, right? Yeah. So I tell them like, yo, like, again, it just goes back to being simplistic. Are you eating 3 times a day?
Mm-hmm.
Yes
That's
or no?
a big one. Yeah.
Are you? It's actually insane how many people overlook this. When you do eat, are you actually? Is this a considered meal, or are you just putting like 2 scoops of Hoy's buddies and you're telling me like that's it?
Yeah.
You're like, I got a meal. You ate white got rice. Like it's like the rice was just like there was nothing to it. Nothing to it. You know what I mean? You had nothing. Are you actually consistently going to the gym? Like you want to lose weight. How often are you going to the gym? Oh, I go once a week. You're going for decoration. What are you doing? You know
it's just for saying, huh?
You're going for the sake of saying I went to the gym. No, you went to the gym once a week. Specify, right? What are you doing when you go there? Are you doing cardio? I do like 5 minutes cardio. So you walked in, you walked out. That's your 5 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like people need to be honest with themselves, because I find 9 times, and again, I do this as well. Whenever I say, oh, I didn't get my desired result out of this block, for instance, this 4-week program that I did, I look at the sheet that I've logged all my workouts. Oh, okay, well, I had walking lunges to do, and I'm guilty of this. I do apologize, Saluji. I skipped out on them for the entire 4 weeks period. Why? Because I thought it was pointless, right? Mm-hmm. And then I wonder, okay, well, when I'm doing my deadlifts and I get my lockout, my shoulders are just stuck in a position. Why is that? This is why.
Be honest with yourself.
You got to be honest with yourself. You really do, right? It's like if you want a desired outcome, you need desired results, and you need to be able to be honest with yourself in that process of like getting those desired results, right? So I think it's just as simple as somebody who's looking to lose weight. When you're eating right, because the common misconception people have is when they want to lose weight, they stop eating. Mm-hmm. No. You're sending your body into a fight or flight mode. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where in actuality, because this happens to me in Ramadan, I don't know about others, but I tend to gain during Ramadan. I gain weight. And the reason why is because obviously when you're fasted for so long, no water, no food, my body goes into this moment of like fight or flight, where whatever I retain or whatever I eat, it needs to hold on to. Mm-hmm. And obviously in that span of, when we're eating, you tend to eat, a lot more, right? In short amount of, in a shorter window, right? So my body just holds on to it. Thus, over time, just I gain weight and I pack on weight, right? So it's just a matter of like, back to your question, the whole cardio thing and losing weight, it's portion control. That's a big thing. Portion control is one. Being consistent in how often you go, whether it be it cardio and stuff like that. If you're going 2 times a week and it's not working, go 3 times a week, go 4 times a week. You know what I mean? If you're not able to do that, okay, go out for walks. People think that you just need to go to the gym, run on a treadmill, or lift some weights, lose weight. No, you go out for walks, you go for jogs, you go for whatever. Like, we can do these things, this is not just the regular Joe or Jane that just has to run out on the road. Like, we can do these things too, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, just keep it simplistic and be honest. Be very honest with yourself.
I think that for me, like, I didn't want to interrupt you, specifically on the dieting portion. I think that just to kind of kind of give my opinion on where my head was at with keto specifically, was just there's some people out there that like have a very big problem with portion control. I'm that type of
me included.
One thing about me, when it comes to food, we have a very toxic relationship. right? It's just it's. Have you ever watched that movie? What's that movie called? Freaking
you mean the McDonald's one?
Tyrese Gibson and the girl from Cookie from you never watched that? Baby Boy. That's what it's called.
No, I haven't seen it.
You never watched it?
No, I never seen it.
This guy, you watched it? Baby Boy?
No.
Anybody that watches Baby Boy, it's basically you've definitely seen clips out there. I'll show you after.
Okay.
But it's just like that's how me and food are. Our relationship is like, no, you have to eat. Nah, I don't want to eat though. And then I come back and I just give it its time. You know what I mean? It's a little. I give my breeze. I give it some attention. You know what I mean? So long story short, like I can't tell food no. Like at some point I'll say no for now, but then eventually I'll come back to it. So keto for me was something that's like I kind of felt like was a boot camp, because to me it's like, okay, this is what I want to get to. I know what I want out of this, and I know that I'm not gonna necessarily like cheat. But the thing is like I need something consistent where I could tell myself like I'm able to eat this and I'm not able to eat this.
Exactly. High volume eating.
Exactly. So like for example, juice, for example, I cut out juice completely. Obviously, you can't drink juice during keto, right? Yeah. But the thing is like if I drink juice and say, yeah, I can have 1 cup a day, nigga, I'm not drinking 1 cup. I'm drinking the whole bottle.
It's double it or nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
It's double it or pass to the next person.
So that's what I'm saying. So and if I go Hoya's bris, specifically my aunt's bris, aunt's bris, by the way.
You're right. Her rice is nice, huh?
Oh,
shout out to Rice.
It's crazy. It's the best bris anybody will ever taste. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if I have 1 scoop of that, I'm not having just 1 scoop. I'm having at least 4 scoops.
No, 100%.
So that's the thing with me is like for keto was something that I could stay consistent on, because like the only thing that you have to eat, like I think it's like 70, I don't remember, but it's like 70% fats, and then it's like 25% what's the thing called, protein, and then 5% carbs. So the thing is like in essence, wallahi, the only thing I was probably eating were like meats. That was probably it. Pause.
So no breads,
no nothing. And I was doing this for a good 6 months. No Dempster. Whole wheat, no white bread, none of that.
Nah.
So I think that's the number one thing.
How'd you find it though?
Me personally, I didn't like it at all.
You didn't get a keto rush from that?
No.
Really?
No.
I got a boy who got a keto rush.
What's a keto rash?
It like your whole back just get like, it's like a bad, like it's like acne on like crack. Damn. Something like that. But I don't know. I think that's what I said. Like everybody's body's different.
So I think trying that out, and one thing that I kind of that I really liked about your point was mindset, and I think you kind of talked about it before. But it's like knowing what you want. So you have your desired goal, right? And it's like, okay, I want to look like Drew Barrymore from this movie, so and so X movie, or I want to look like Michael B. Jordan off Black Panther.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But the thing is, like, sorry to interject. Like, what do you say?
He's like, why can I look like Ismail?
Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I was gonna say the one thing
the before, you want to get the after.
The issue I say to people about like when you have a set like idea of what you want to look like, more often than not, bro, it's gonna blow up in your face, and you're never gonna be able to look like that person. You know what I mean? So it's like, in a sense, like setting yourself up for failure, right? When you point to somebody and be like, I want to look like that person, or I want to look as close as possible. Why not just look at like the best version of yourself? Why not refake? And it's like, it's crazy how little of a change in your wording can do so much for you. You know what I mean? If you just say, I just don't want to look like me right now. Like, me right now looks like dog. You know what I mean? Like I need to look better. You know what I mean? And I want to feel better, you know. And that's another thing too, is that I wanted to mention this, is that I think you brought in the point of something like, Esmeralda, you said something about like when you're in the gym, or like what do you notice first? Because some people are like, I'm not, like, my weights are not going up, something along those lines. For me personally, I always tell people, don't, do these check-ins of like looking at yourself every day, stepping on the scale every day or every week even, because you're not going to notice anything, right? The reason I say that is because you see yourself almost 24 hours out of the day. Like, you genuinely see yourself, you're around the clock. So, of course, you're not going to notice small incremental changes on yourself, over the course of every day or every week or even every month, right? But what you will notice when you go to the gym or whatever, this and that, third is, okay, let's say in terms of cardio, I'm not burning it. Like, let's say I'm able to do 15 at the start, but now 25 minutes in and I'm still going strong, Or if I'm lifting weights, on overhead press, like I used to stump that 50 pounds, but now I'm doing 60, like with ease or with struggle, so small things like that, small wins like that are what keep you motivated and what keep me personally motivated. Like I don't, at the beginning I was always fixated on how I look, how I'm going to appear to others, or how I'm going to just carry myself around like day in and day out. But I was so fixated on that I was not taking into appreciation the weights that are moving, the discipline I'm having, in the gym of going consistently. Those small wins, like I didn't acknowledge those, and you get a burnout a lot quicker on those, right? So I think it's important just for people to just be like, don't look at yourself as just like every day I need to check in, see what the progress is, and this and that. And the third. People do that in bodybuilding, of course, because that's a part of the profession, right? But we're not on that level of seeing the minuscule muscles that like change or whatever over the course of a week, right? Or us dropping 2.2 pounds actually made me look a little bit more shredded in this area, like stuff like that. We're not on that tip, right? So I have kind of small ones. Yeah, my bad.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. It's all about the little moves, right?
Yeah.
So I have 2 short questions for you,
Yep.
right? Or should I say 3?
Okay.
The last one's a surprise question.
Okay.
All right. So the first question I have is that you mentioned the struggles that you have with, like how you even sometimes gain weight in Ramadan. What would be like a quick tip for people going into the Ramadan so they can maximize how they feel, as well as maximize their productivity in both work and as well as like other, like when they're doing like the different worships like Tarawih and different stuff like that?
Lay off the sambusa. I would say that. That's a good start. Because I know somebody here is watching, myself included.
But
they're put up crazy. I put up numbers on the board. Like it's playoff. Like, it doesn't matter. Sambusa, like, sambusa for me, I don't know what it is. Like,
what's
if
your best flavor of sambusa?
Oh, bro, you gotta go.
Don't say tuna.
Regular meat. No, it has to be beef.
You're a tuna.
I'm not a tuna guy.
No,
tuna. Listen.
No.
Okay, hold on. Listen. No. Before we, because I know there's some people here who generally on that tip, and like that's okay.
No, it's not.
No. I have to be politically okay, right? Okay, it's not okay. This is a PR statement. It's fine. Just don't bring it to my house. You know what I mean?
How about shrimp sambusa?
Shrimp?
Oh, that's innovation. That's gourmet. This is Gordon Ramsay at my house now. Like, what's going on? Don't let Gordon Ramsay get a hold of this. This is gonna run. He's gonna run with it. Start saying that's his thing. But no, straight beef, onions, little spasqachi or something like that. I can't handle
potato sambusa.
What's the point?
Nah, wallah, it's
the thing is, what's the point?
I'll take potato over tuna.
100%.
Potato.
I always take meat over vegetables.
Pause.
You like
so you get tuna.
Pause.
You like meat,
Pause.
Yeah, anyways, let me get to the tips for Ramadan.
No, okay, so yeah. Jokes aside,
Damn. All right.
tips for Ramadan.
By now, you're right. Like sambusa is something so small and easy to eat.
Bro, you would be amazed. Like I know I say jokes, but like genuinely, you'd be amazed at how like, especially like if it comes to like you trying to watch you and stuff. That's oil. That's a lot of oil that gets put, especially our moms. Like our parents are not really conscious about the oil they put in it. It tastes wet. Like that's like.
No, Miles, there are no tissue paper. You know when you put the tissue, the sambusa on the tissue paper? No tissue paper. Straight oil.
I heard you take the oil, you just go like that.
But it's so dank. It's so dank. But like, in all honesty, like you have to be like conscious of the stuff you eat and realize like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm gonna get away today with eating 8 sambusas or 10 sambusas, but like you're not gonna feel the greatest going to the gym session, That same
You're gonna
night.
feel like a sambusa.
Like show some love to like the day.
Like
What another thing is that actually like I don't do enough of is like actually eating dates. You know what I mean? Like eating dates on the regular, not just drinking. Like having dates in your routine of like, and a lot of non-Muslim people do it too. Like they'll have their dates in the morning and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy how it was a part of the sunnah. I was watching a video. Even they say it's
TikTok, right?
It's a sunnah. Yeah. It's a sunnah to eat dates. But then they're just coming out with new science right now that dates is one of the things that rehydrates you the quickest. It gives you a nice insulin spike. You know what I mean? Not like one that's gonna give you a sugar crash. So it's perfect. It's actually one of the best foods to like break a fast with or even start a fast. So it's crazy how like Islam, like we're taught a lot of things, but in reality it's just for the best for us. You know what I mean?
Bro,
so
for real.
It comes down to my second question. I'm gonna mix up the order.
Go ahead.
Are you natural, man?
I am natural.
Are you natty or no?
I am natural.
People want to know.
You know what? No. Listen.
I want to know.
It's actually mind-boggling that some people would ask me, am I natural, right? Because it's like, I don't see, like, I've seen not natural, And the thing is, too, by the way, there's a common misconception.
Hold on. Wait.
Yeah?
Can you tell when somebody's not natural?
That's my point. There are some people who are not natural who really don't look like they don't look at all like they were somebody who takes, you know, TRTs or SARMs or whatever it is, you know. But they do, and it just shows in what they push, the stuff they push, you know. But you'll just see like crazy acne stuff like. So it's like really hard. There's a lot of, you know.
Silica?
Yeah,
that's how you say his name?
Sam Sullivan. Yeah, there's. I mean, that guy, you could tell.
Guy. Yeah,
you know, the guy's got
abuser.
veins and striations on his lats I've never seen before. You know. But there are a lot of people, a lot of younger, you know, people that go to commercial gyms, like 17, 18-year-olds that are just hopping on these things.
What about,
you know?
The biggest 17-year-old?
You never seen the biggest 17-year-old?
Biggest 17-year-old.
Who's that?
You never seen that?
From the city?
Yeah, he's from Ottawa.
I think you got to do your research.
We should get
He's
him
like
on
18, 19?
Oh,
so decent. Might as well get him on.
Yeah. I seen him. Strong.
Wallah, he's so decent.
Strong dude.
Allah Barak. That guy's bro.
That guy's been like 30 for 16 years or something. Goodness gracious. But he looks the part. No, Allah. But that's the thing, right? Like the people who I don't understand these people that like. There are people who have channels based around, is this person natural or not? And I don't understand, like, why ask?
Why does it matter?
I mean? Like, why does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, the people who are going to admit to being it are going to admit to being it. The people who are going to deny it, that are on it, are going to do the thing. It should not have any impact on, like, what you do, you know? Okay. But for me personally, like, there's... Like religion aside,
I think he's going like this.
Religion. I know I'm going seesaw, but religion aside,
I just want to know, are you natty?
No, religion aside, it just makes no sense.
Yeah,
like it's
harmful. Huh?
I'm not at a level where I've hit my natural potential.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So it's like, why put myself at such a risk of taking these things? You know.
Yeah.
And my third question. Okay, it's great to know. First of all, and
I think
a lot of viewers want to know. My third and final question, just to like wrap up everything, is that first of all, like as we mentioned before, we really like how you're putting positive content out there to motivate a lot of people to do good things. Like the guy behind the camera, he bought some resistance bands because of your stories.
You still have those resistance bands?
I still do.
Good man.
You see what I'm saying?
Wow, you know, so crazy. I have resistance bands. Same reason too.
Good man.
Yeah. Okay.
But I never used it though. I'm not like this guy.
I don't know where mine are, but I mean, it's good that you guys have. You
see what I'm saying? So and we see that you're putting out some positive content, right?
Right.
So as a Muslim person in that space, how do you navigate that? Like it's a kind of like a space that's kind of there's not a lot of Muslim people there. So how do you navigate that? Just kind of like as a final question to just.
I'm glad you asked, and I'm glad it's a closer because it's honestly one of those things, bro, where I never really spoke on it. Obviously, being that we're Muslim brothers, you know, and being in a space of powerlifting, it's different. You know, it's not every day you run into a Muslim brother or even a Somali brother, you know, at best that does this thing, you know. And I've found as I've gone through it, only having gone through it really for a year now, and inshallah for many more, it's tough, bro. It's tough. Even the posting stuff, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the content I posted, you won't find up there anymore, you know? Cause
I was gonna speak on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've archived. I do a lot of rebranding in my life, you know? Stuff goes up and then 2 weeks you won't see
new
it.
seasons,
right?
man.
That's okay.
I move like Fortnite seasons, you know what I mean? Like every season is a new update, right? But it's just one of those things where like I want to move about it in the best, you know, with the best interest in myself, you know, and knowing that I do it with respect to my religion, you know what I mean, and doing things like as best as I can, you know. I make my mistakes. I do things that I shouldn't be doing. I post things that I shouldn't be posting, but I do ultimately try and like go about it in the most, you know, I guess the efficient way possible, and trying to just like be true to myself and not let the influence of what others say, you know, affect me. Obviously there's people who have good hearts out there that, you know, try and, you know, advise of the best, but a lot of the times these are just empty words they're spewing at you because they just want to follow the mass majority of people who are telling you, you know, cover this, don't post this, and don't put this track on, and this, that, and the third. And I never want to, and I want to make it clear that like I never want people to feel like I'm disagreeing with what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Of course, like most of these people they're right, you know? But some people take it a little too far. Some people do, you know, they'll, you know, say things to family members. They'll do that, stuff like that, you know, or like, why is this person in your family not doing it? Because I had that happen before, you know? And it's like, it's weird. It's like, why are you going to such extremities, you know, if it's on just an advice tip, you know?
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, like, for instance, music, right? Music was a big thing that was hard for me to give up, you know, to say the least. It's one of those things where you do it so habitually that it's like, you know, it just doesn't come to you. But this competition round, I was like, you know what, like, I really deeped it, because when it comes to at least the powerlifting scene from where, like, the federations I do, you don't, like, I don't think anybody does. You don't listen to music when you're attempting these lifts, you know? So leading into my preparation for it and my prep, like, phase, I was just like, why am I listening to music if on the biggest stage, quote unquote, I'm not going to be able to, you know what I mean? It's just me getting used to something that I'm not going to have on the day of. It's like me training with the belt, and then the day of I just say, I'm not using it. It just makes no sense, right? Yeah. So I took upon myself. I was like, yo, I can't be listening to music. This just doesn't make sense, right? And I just saw it for, like, at face value, not even from, like, a religious standpoint. And I just ran with that, you know? So for a couple months, I was just not having listened to music, you know, alhamdulillah. So it's like just making small adjustments like that, and just reminding myself, like, of the, like, just where am I coming at it from a logical point of view, and also, like, am I doing it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You know, like, that has to be, like, you have to do your best to do that. You make your mistakes, sure, but you need to acknowledge your mistakes and not blindly just try and, like, ignore them, you know? Like, if somebody comes at you left about something like that, like, sure, they may have came at you differently, whatever, this and that, the third, but take from it what you will and apply it, you know? Don't be oblivious to it, because some of it is true. Yeah.
I want to say, first off, we appreciate you for coming on the episode.
I'm glad I got to be here, bro.
I wanted to say, one thing is, like, as you guys could see, you know, through the episode and kind of his answers, you guys could see he's very humble. I never really got a chance. I didn't know you, like, when you first started your journey. Right. But I could tell you I've definitely seen the progression that came with it. Right. Starting from before COVID and then all the way up until now. I want to say the biggest thing is, like, obviously, like, sometimes, you know, people deserve their flowers. I want to say that one thing that I seen specifically is I remember you had posted something about, like, I think you, at this point in time, you were at the heaviest, and you were telling us at that point, it's like, okay, I'm going to start to cut. And I think you just stopped finishing cutting. Right. And I remember I seen a video, and this guy was Wallah, I think he just filled out the whole camera. He filled out the camera. No, but Wallah, no glazing. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. Oh my god. The guy was so, like, the guy, when I looked at that video, like, pause, but it was just like, I really was, number one, like, coming from a place of, wow, this is my brother, he accomplished his goal. Of course, you know, you have other aspirations, like you kind of said, like, you want to continue growing. Yeah. But at the same time, looking from pictures or things that you've kind of you've shown us about, like, your progression or transformation, it showed, number one, I was obviously coming from a place of, I was just proud, but also another aspect is, like, damn, like, I can't wait to see what the next journey is, you know? So number one, I want to say we appreciate you for coming on, and number two, we want to, inshallah, like, the progression goes by faster. Inshallah. And then inshallah, the next meet, we'll see you number one. We're going to come to the meet. Inshallah. 2.5 months, we're going to get the third meet, bro.
Oh, man. I just want to say, too, you're like, you know, you guys deserve your flowers. Even Skitty, you behind the camera, like, you guys came a long way, bro. 4 years ago, we were, like, you know, in the crib, just, you know, hot micing a couple of, you know, Q&As and stuff like that. But, you know, you guys got your play style, and you're doing your thing. So it's like, we are all thriving, and it doesn't have to be even in the space of fitness, bro. But I love to see when brothers are doing things out of the norm and out of the niche, like, you know, things like this. Obviously, podcasting is becoming a lot more mainstream now, but it's really nice to see, you know, when the broskies are doing their thing, and, you know, they link up and they have these aspirations or goals that they want to achieve. You know, like, that in itself is motivating me to do what I got to do in my field. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even on, like, not to make it, you know, more complicated than it is, but that's just how it is, right? So I want to give you guys your flowers. You know, that you guys came a long way. You guys did your thing. You guys are, you know, banging it out. Every one of you guys that's involved, like, I know you guys all play a part in this. Like, Jenga, it's like, there's a lot that goes into this, and a lot of days of planning and thought and editing and whatever, this, that, and the third. So you guys deserve it, man. This is big.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate
always, man. Always, man.
Enough. I appreciate you for coming, and, you know, and for who's listening right now, we appreciate you for listening. I guess we're just being appreciated for everything.
So, enough with the sappiness, bro.
I don't do this, bro. I don't believe that. I ain't sapping.
I feel like
we'll see you guys in the next week.
Someone's about to cry. Nah, I'm just playing. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, man.
And 2.5 volleys are out.
That was so cringe. Why did I do that?